When the cameras started rolling and the live audience was giddy with anticipation, Rasheeda broke down in tears. The segment had only consisted of introductions and smiles. But then she leaned forward with glassy eyes and said something no one had expected. Young Juk locked me in that hotel room for several hours. As she described how a simple promotional trip turned into a nightmare, the studio went silent in shock. As rumors went viral on social media, fans were shocked and thrilled. Could this golden kid of Atlanta's hip-hop culture have actually trapped his close friend? There had been rumors of friction between them, but no one had anticipated it would get this bad. The audience held their breath while the host fumbled with some. Young Jacques' side was already disputing it and calling it fake news. But the evidence, her trembling hands and broken wrists, painted a more sinister picture. Everyone was now wondering whether Jacques had truly turned a friend into a prisoner and how this information would affect Rita's marriage, family, and personal safety. This story is going to get much more explosive, so fasten your seatbelt. Rita's voice faltered as she described how Yacha's demands became increasingly oppressive and how she felt forced to leave but found that all the doors were closed. The audience cheered as they recorded laughter and lighthearted banter for future episodes. But there was a simmering tension behind the scenes. No one could have predicted that nighttime camaraderie would give way to accusations and laughing to tears, which would rock Atlanta's hip-hop scene to its foundation. Rita arrived at the downtown hotel under bright studio lights, waving to fans, yelling her name, and smiling for the cameras. As they led her through the lobby, Jacques, the cheerful host, embraced her and said, "You look fantastic." As the day's filming came to a close, Rita stopped to look around at her crew. "It's cool," Jojo reassured her, smiling. "Just a brief discussion. Regarding the scenes for tomorrow." Rita trusted Jacques like a longtime friend. The door clicked behind them. As he poured 2 glasses of expensive scotch, Jojo motioned for her to sit on the soft couch. Before Jacques' face changed and his eyes darkened as he put down the drinks, the atmosphere was familiar and relaxed. "We need to talk about something by ourselves," he added quietly. "Is everything all right?" Rita blinked, bewildered. "Is everything all right?" Jacques didn't respond. Instead, his voice was strained. "Great. You must stay here tonight, just you and Marita." She laughed uncomfortably, thinking, "Jacques, my room is down the hallway. I should go back because it's late." Jacques' grin dimmed. "You won't be leaving?" Rita's face went into a panic. Her calm but forceful voice asked, "What are you saying?" Jacques got up and abruptly walked up to the door, turning the lock with a snap. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the quiet suite. Rita got up from the couch and said, "Jacques, unlock the door now." Her leather boots clicked on the marble floor as she approached. Rita's heart was pounding as he stood with his arms folded close to the door and said, "You should relax. We need to figure things out. You can't simply walk away. Why are you doing this?" "You're frightening me." Jojo's voice trailed off as she said, "You believe you are the queen of everything, which is why you have been disregarding me and making decisions without consulting me." Rita shook her head, her confusion turning to fear. "I'm your pal. Not here for whatever this is. I'm here to shoot." Joker stepped forward, his tenseness. Jojo's thoughts were racing as she spoke. For years she had known Jacques, who had always been watchful, perhaps too cautious, but never domineering. Now that she was confined to his suite, she was terrified. Her phone was on the sofa table just out of reach. Desperately, she eyed it. "Please unlock the door," she repeated, trying to keep a calm expression on her face. The Jacques' face twisted. "No, you will not go until I say so." He returned to the couch and gestured for Rita to sit down, saying, "Just listen." The suite was oddly quiet as she sat anxiously and mentally planned ways to escape. The tightly drawn blackout drapes behind her blocked any chance of rescue. Through the window, save for the faint hum of the air conditioner. "Recently, I've been feeling hurt," Jojo gently replied. "You've been ignoring me while hanging out with Kirk and forming new alliances. I assumed you would be here forever." Rita swallowed, his heart thumping at the sudden admission of his insecurities. I cherish our friendship, Jock, and I've always been there for you. But everything in life changes, including jobs and family. I can't stay attached to you forever, even though I care about you. Without you, I don't want to change. Fear made. Rita's compassion falter. Hours passed like a bad dream. When Rita tried to call for help, Jock didn't answer the door. Every time she tried to change the subject to make it possible for her to leave, he insisted on talking, but she was met with increasing desperation. Please, I must return to my room, she begged, her voice barely audible above a whisper as he sat next to her. Rita felt trapped, but her heart longed for the friend she used to know. Breathing became difficult because of the helplessness pressing down on her chest. The team found out that Rita had not returned in the interim. Kelly, her assistant, called her name and knocked on the apartment door. When she didn't answer, panic broke out, asking, "Where's Rita?" She asked Jojo, who smiled and opened the door softly. "Oh, she's okay. I'm just talking to her," she said. Kelsey's brow furrowed. Joker's smile faltered as he said, "I asked her to stay a little while longer. She will be leaving shortly. The director wants to finish the evening. An hour ago. She was supposed to go to her room." Uneasy, Kelsey pursed her lips. "All's well, Elle, but she has appointments at 8. Inform her that I'm waiting." Jojo nodded and softly closed the door, leaving Kelsey feeling depressed. Rita pushed against the distant wall inside. Her cheeks began to well up with tears. The circumstance weighed heavily on her. How did it come to this? She asked. Herself in a whisper, Joker paced while stroking his hair. "I'm afraid of being forgotten," he said gently, his voice cracking. Rita spoke in a little voice. "I will not forget you, Jock. Okay? Simply let me go." Joker halted, staring fixedly. "Not until you say you'll listen to me," she shook her head, feeling both frustrated and afraid. "I am unable to guarantee that I have to take a breath." As daylight drew near, Jock's enthusiasm faltered. Rita grabbed her phone off the table and ran for it. Jojo lunged, but she was able to dial Kelly's number thanks to her fast reactions. "Kelsey, please help me," she muttered, her voice shaking. The phone clattered off the table and fell. Under the couch as Jock surged again, Rita's anxiety grew. "No," she mouthed as she fumbled for it. Jock grabbed her wrist and held her. "Stop," he begged, his eyes welling with tears. Rita's name appeared on Kelsey's caller ID when her phone rang backstage. Breathless, she replied. Rita screamed, "Kelsey, why? Please help me." Kelsey's voice faltered. "Where are you?" "I'm going to call the crew." Jock locked the door and Rita whispered, "Where are you?" "I'm en route." "Hold on." Kelly hurried too when security arrived and knocked urgently. The doorknob jiggled. A look of desperation and regret crumpled Jock's face. "Don't open it, Rita," he yelled. There was a click, and the door unlocked. Security guards entered and drew the Jock back. Rasheeda staggered out and rushed into Kelsey's arms, her voice rough and tears streaming down her cheeks. Her sobs, her shaking shoulders, and the bruise on her wrist from the Jock's too tight grip were all suddenly captured on cameras that weren't supposed to be there. Jock stood alone in the suite, his shoulders hunched, tears mingled with regret. However, there was no doubt that the tragedy had exposed deep divisions within the hip-hop culture as well as among friends and families. Rita's tear-streaked face, a representation of strength and weakness, was shown in television clips as the light of dawn peeked through the windows. As the virtual world erupted, some supporters and critics demanded that he face consequences, while others supported him as mentally stressed. In anticipation of the next twist, viewers held their breath. With Jojo's silence answering questions, and in the morning after the hotel incident, Rita's home felt strangely empty. Her phone was silent next to her on the couch, but Jojo's calls and messages kept coming in. She stayed in the living room, wrapped in a blanket, reliving the nightmare while the kids were at school. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard her. Own frantic calls for help, and saw the desperate expression on Jojo's face as he bolted the door. Jock's wife Rasheeda, appeared out of the blue wearing jeans and a hoodie, looking exhausted and drawn. She cautiously entered while holding her phone to her ear. "Rita," she said in a low voice. "Jockeys are being released until further research is done, but they said that I had to see you first." Rita's eyes met Leonda's with a bitter mix of relief and betrayal. She asked quietly, and Leanne pulled them closer. "Late last night, he told me that he begged me not to tell, thinking that I could fix it. Later, I realized that I had no idea what had happened." She tentatively reached out. "Are you okay?" Rita withdrew her eyes, and her eyes welled with tears. "Not okay, Londa. He trapped me for hours. How can I get past that?" she asked. Rita's lip trembled as she shook her head, saying, "I'm not sure, but I'm available to you, my friend. Your husband thought that we were supporting each other, so she stormed in with her phone in hand, while Rasheeda stayed behind to avoid crowding Rita. "Have you seen these tweets, Rita, sweetie?" She reached for her phone and scanned through a feed of hashtags, like "I jocked our lock Jajawan, Ham Rasheeda hurt." "The fans are going crazy. Last night, there was a lot of emotion, and some people think that Jock should be permanently canceled." Rita reached for the phone and started scanning, accusing me of lying, saying that I'm just creating drama to get more views. When Jock was released from security custody, there was a lot of activity. His face was pale and haunted when he got into his car outside the motel with a hand on his thigh and pained eyes. Leon sat next to him. Her voice was shaking as she asked, and Jock's jaw was clenched as he focused on the road. "I apologize, Landa. I felt useless because Rita was always away shooting and making decisions without me." Leon bit her lip while he said, "What the devil happened?" Shedding tears but limiting her to a room, "You hurt her." Jojo's voice broke. "I realized what I did cannot be undone, and I made it about myself, which was selfish." Lashonda turned in the seat to look at him after exhaling. "We need a plan. The media is circling. My family and your family deserve answers." The Jock's shoulders slumped. "We'll admit that there was a misunderstanding. We'll say we're sorry, but that won't be enough. People want to know why you felt so hopeless. Rita has suffered trauma. Now that she's safe, how can you prove you're not a monster?" Joker rubbed his temples. "I'm not sure Kirk Frost received a call from a mutual producer across town." Kirk's morning routine was interrupted by the host's soothing voice over the speakerphone. "We need your statement, Kirk. We're conducting a follow-up section on the shocking revelation from last night." Kirk closed his eyes and ran a hand over his hair. "There is nothing I can say. My tale isn't this." The host's voice was demanding. "Fans are looking to you, Kirk, because you are Rita's husband. They want to know if you agree with her or not." Kirk looked at his son playing with a toy car. He exhaled and told them that I fully support her and am available for anything she needs. Kirk drooped his shoulders and said, "Just tell them I'm family and I love her." Sitting at his kitchen table with a picture of himself and Rita on their wedding day, Kirk hung up the phone. The bride's glowing face seemed like a distant memory. He texted Rita, "I love you. When you can, give me a call." He closed his eyes and put down his phone, and he muttered, "How can I aid in her recovery?" He put down his phone and closed his eyes. Back at Rita's house, she mentioned that she had a doctor's appointment at 2 and therapy at 4. "You need a professional, someone to talk to," she said, nodding and crying a little. "I feel shattered." Hachia fluffed the cushion, saying, "You're not damaged. You're getting better. However, we must stay busy." No lingering, Rita let out a breath. "All right." Rita sat in a doctor's office at 2, feeling cold against the white walls. Dr. Jenkins entered with a clipboard, and I recognized that last night was a challenging experience. "What physical condition are you in?" Rita moved to cover up a minor bruise on her wrist by pulling her sleeve down. "I'm hurt, but the panic is what keeps happening." Dr. Jenkins looked at the jaw bruise and nodded. "We can record this for any court case." I'm also suggesting relaxation and a short course of anti-anxiety medication. Rita exhaled. Thank you. Dr. Jenkins considered it. Only when you're ready. Don't rush, though. Your mental well-being is vital. Rita nodded in a low voice. Chair across from Dr. Harris, she began by telling them about last night. Her voice broke as she responded. He made me feel trapped. I couldn't stop wondering how a buddy could turn into a prisoner. Dr. Harris nodded as he listened. But let's focus on your reaction, your trauma, and your healing. Rita wiped away her tears, and I felt guilty and ashamed. I kept replaying it over and over again, wondering if there was anything I could have done differently. Dr. Harris leaned in. You're not at fault. You had faith in him. A group gathered at Jock and Rashawn's house later that night, and both families were present. Yandi and Mendez emailed their apologies. Kirk and their children stayed for dinner. And other cast members saw a live apology video made by Jock Jojo, pale, teary-eyed, and shaking. Rita shrugged her shoulders, saying, I feel so weak, but I want to be strong for my kids. When the live feed ended, comments like fans are shocked I never expected Jock to lie. Emotions ran high as Jock apologized, and the family was left divided. Rasheeda was sitting in the dining room. I sincerely apologize for losing my composure and violating my friend's confidence. I'll accept the consequences and do everything in my power to make this right. He stopped fighting back tears. I ask that Rita be given privacy while she recovers. We want to uphold our morals, our families, and her, so I'm looking for professional assistance. With Kirk's arm wrapped around their children ate in silence, feeling sorry but not fully comprehending the situation. Kirk looked for her hand, saying, Baby, I'm here. Rita nodded, and the children smiled at them with innocent optimism. Tears were streaming down her face as she rang her phone and watched the live apologies from across town. Her heart ached from regret at not being able to keep her friends safe. I forgive you, but it will take time. Yandi texted Jock Joker, who replied with a single heart emoji and a sigh. Yandi covered her face. Cole Stokes, Rita's old friend, watched the live apology on TV from his apartment. He felt bad for Jock's demise, called a friend and said, Have you watched Jock's video? His career would be destroyed by this. The companion nodded. Reality television is cruel. If you make one mistake, you're out. Cole hung up his mind, racing with possible outcomes. News teams gathered outside Jock's house. Their cameras, the tension from the hotel incident had not subsided when the sun rose over Atlanta. Rita was sitting at her kitchen table drinking coffee that had gone cold a few hours earlier. Every news alert on her phone was like a kick to the gut. Would Jock get arrested? How soon will Rita start shooting again? Is hip-hop and love doomed? Every question mirrored the confusion. But one fact stood out. The incident had exposed unresolved weaknesses in friendships and families, setting the stage for Part 3, when everyone would be pushed to their limits by the pursuit of healing, legal threats, and more thorough